I think I first realised it was going to be bad when I saw the fire come up over the mountain. Whoa, shit, look at that! It didn't feel like the end of the year, it felt like the end of the world.
It's funny looking back. We were doing our shopping, taking kids to the beach, planning our parties to ring in the new year, and all the while oblivious to the notion that Australia, one of the first countries to welcome the new year in, would also be the first to experience the dramatic changes that it was going to bring.
A mega blaze.
The blaze high into the treetops.
There are streets of decimated houses.
Another 50 homes are gone.
Now, when looking back at the accounts of those who survived the worst bushfires in our history, it's clear that their story is not just a story about fire. It's also a story about us, in what has become a year of upheaval.
New warnings about the heat and fire threat we're facing before New Year's Eve. A total fire ban is in place for tomorrow as 85 fires continue to burn across New South Wales, but volatile weather and temperatures...
So we got to Malakuta on Boxing Day morning in the Beachcomber Caravan Park. The kids are already in the pool straight away. Then look forward to the next 3 weeks of Malakuta.
Oh, Mum's calling. Hello.
Twice this week already, we've broken the previous record for Australia's warmest day on record.
It's quite extraordinary. And yesterday we saw temperatures almost reaching 50 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, that's right.
On December 30th, I had just come back to surprise my sister for her 10th birthday.
Little one heading north, 28. It needs to be twisted in a little bit. I'll bring the tractor down and put it on the fork. Okay.
Unfortunately, it's the trifecta that nobody likes to hear. It's going to be hot, it's going to be windy, and it's also going to be dry. So it's going to be a very volatile and unpredictable 48 hours to take us into the new year.
Well, I'm a farmer. I did have 200 sheep. Beef cows, nearly 60. The drought's really bad. Like 3.5 years. Grass was in high demand. I had to cut my cattle in half out of the shearing shed. Just kept a handful in the end. You ask and ask and ask, but you don't know who you're asking, really.
The fire started with a dry lightning strike quite a few kilometres from here in November. And we had helicopters buzzing over all the time. We're doing water bombing, trying to fight the fires.
The fires have been deadly and devastating over the past 3 months, but they're expected to become even worse in the coming days.
The day leading into it, we were kayaking and fishing and running around with the kids. The whole time, though, sort of keeping an eye on this column. At about 5 o'clock, everybody's mobile phones went beep, 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 beep. The government warning that said, get out now.
Thank you, Premier. We still have more than 100 fires burning across New South Wales. These fires have spread faster and further than the modelling and the fire weather predictions suggested they would.
If you're holidaying in that part of the state, it's time that you left.
What are you saying?
The sun up there, you should see it now.
Huh.
Every government department was telling us to leave.
Evacuate.
You must evacuate now.
If you don't leave, you will die, sort of a thing.
Yeah, it's all alight. Things are really starting to pick up now. Home sweet home.
We had a fire hit us in 2014 when I was 14.
Look at that behind the house here, that's fantastic. Yeah, it's very spectacular.
My dad was here by himself.
All right, I've got to start a pump and squirt water. So far, so good.
I thought that, you know, since he had done it before, it was quite possible that we'd be able to do it again. And this time I'd be able to take a bit of the weight off his shoulders.
Well, we didn't leave early because, you know, you just think it's going to be a normal fire. I can handle that.
The house, it was built with perhaps 80% recycled timbers, because Dennis and I are both fairly sentimental.
And we built it with our own hands, and that's what you do. You just try and defend what you own.
You know, they initially told us, if worse came to worse and this fire gets to us, then they would put all the sirens on the trucks, and that was your evacuation time to get to water.
No.
So we went down towards the wharf area and just basically laid down there and waited.
Mum woke up at 4 in the morning because the winds were really strong. She woke the girls up and she took them. Yeah, she definitely didn't feel safe staying here. So this is Dad's bug-out bag. Here we've got 4 cans of beans, 2 spoons, 2 tins of tuna.
India is a very strong-minded girl.
Hair ties, I put them in there.
She's physically strong.
His wallet.
She has her way, and she's very much like me in that she's very stubborn.
And he had booze in there, but he probably drank it already, so. If you know that you're prepared and that you know your house is defendable, then why not give it a shot? But this year, boy. Whoa. Wow. Fucking ready, bitch. Come at me. Okay.
At first, it really did look amazing. You just couldn't take your eyes off it. It was something very spectacular to watch.
And as we were watching that, oh shit, look at that! The embers from that fire had blown behind us and started a fire. And then in no time, there was just fire everywhere.
There's smoke in the air. As it got thicker, it was pitch black. Pitch black.
Oh shit, there's one right there. Fuck! Dad! Where were you?
I was putting out embers around the other side.
Oh, there's a few down the hill there. What? There's a few. My dad was at the front of the house, hosing down underneath our house, the grass around our house. Hey?
Hose! Look, I need some help.
Simo, come here. Come in, Simo. Simo! Oi! I just put Sumo inside with a bucket of water. Whoa, kangaroo! Okay, coming this way. I felt really bad for all the animals. but that's just life.
The fire, it seemed to all arrive all of a sudden.
Whoa!
And there was no time for any thinking. The adrenaline takes over.
What's Turn it down.
Turn it down,
Yeah, okay. My dad told me to turn the pump down, just save the water. And when I came back, he was gone.
Nowhere across the state can we afford to be complacent. Rest assured there's not enough trucks to go around, so don't count on a fire truck protecting your particular house. You need to get out of there.
As we're wetting everything down, we heard, help, 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 fire coming, help. And it was the neighbour, Carol. She's lived up there all her life. She's 75 years old. So I jumped in the car and went up and seen her. I had my son Toby with me and my son-in-law Ronnie. I said, Carol, we've got to go now. Come on, get out of here. I said, I'm not going without George and Jenny. I said, who the bloody hell are George and Jenny? And George with a, I think, 18, 20-year-old weather sheep, huge big fella. And there's little Jenny, a little lamb. So we've had to, three of us wrestle this big weather into the back seat. And then we got little Jenny lamb, put Carol in the front seat. So we drove down to my house and said to Carol, come on, you've got to go and sit in the bathroom where it's safe.
I said, I'll start the pump, wet the house down.
My part of the plan was to stay in the shed. It was hand-built, made from rocks. The walls were like 2 feet thick. I could see the fire was getting closer.
I was just wetting the last part of the house down. I'd wet all the lawn down. All of a sudden, this great big fireball just exploded over the top of the house. And the heat was just like opening a pizza door. And I put my hands to my face and went like that. And my hands bubbled up. The knuckles, yeah, both hands. It was fierce, very fierce, like a hungry dragon, you know.
I was the lead truck of the 4 of the strike team. To get that call to say, can you come and help? It felt great to say, yes, definitely, I'll be there. Whatever it takes, I'll be there.
Many people had fought fires before. They thought they knew fire. But we've changed the nature of it.
It was only about 300 metres into it when we started experiencing an ember attack. Sparks, bits of fire blowing with the wind. I got on the radio to my strike team leader. We were experiencing an ember attack. Would you like us to proceed? And the strike team leader came back, yes, yeah, proceed. About a kilometre down the road, the ember attack got quite heavy. Once again, we experienced a heavy ember attack. Would you like us to proceed? Once again, yes, proceed.
Jasper, put the blanket up.
And as we put the blanket up, just to cut that radiant heat, there is a fireball right across the front windscreen.
Count down, you fuck! Count down! We're burning! Count him! Go, take him!
This is the point we call flashover. Everything above us, behind us, around us was on fire. It's like you're in hell. Literally like you're in hell.
It's like a hurricane of fire. It was just, I don't know, it's indescribable. It's just a big ball of flame coming. And then all hell broke loose. The west side window exploded, and then we heard the explosions up the back of the house. Then we went into the bathroom. We shut the door and hoped we could survive in there until it subsided enough that we could go out. We would feel the walls and the ceiling, and we knew it was getting hotter and hotter. It was really smoky. It was really difficult to breathe.
In the shed, we had louver doors. There was one little section that hadn't been covered. I could feel the warm air coming in, then I could feel cool air rushing beside me and going out through the louvers. And I thought, oh no, that's our oxygen, it's escaping. I thought, I've got to stop it. So I ran over and grabbed the blanket and I held that up against the louver as high as I could. And the embers were getting worse. And I was holding the blankets and I was leaning against the wall and saying, please pass, please pass, please pass. Please pass, please pass, please pass. It was getting warmer and warmer and hotter and hotter. I could feel my airways closing over. I could feel them coming up and closing and closing and closing, and grabbed my throat and I said, oh, this is not going to happen.
We're on. It's fucking 9 o'clock in the morning and have a look at what it's like outside. It's black. It's like it's fucking midnight.
The firestorm stretches to the Victorian coast, plunged into darkness in the middle of the day with 49 degrees and gale force winds.
We've got 3 strike teams sitting in with the community, literally standing side by side with our community at the beachfront. It is pitch black. It is quite scary.
Incredible. It's just ash and embers everywhere. This is actually Malakuta Lake. Can't see a thing.
About 8:30 or so, the sirens went. We heard a lot of, like an aeroplane, and then boom, and then explode. And we were so excited because they were going to be bombing it and, you know, putting it out. Turns out the high-pitched noise is all the gas cylinder bottles at the houses. It was about that time also that one of the young kids came over to me and said, Dan, what's this? And he had a dead little bird in his hand. It's a spotted pardalope. And then as we sort of looked around, we noticed all these birds falling and then kids walking around with dead birds. All the lack of oxygen in the air, they'd all just died of asphyxiation. And that was when we knew that it was real.
So it just keeps getting redder and redder.
And then we started talking to the kids and explaining to them that if the fire did come, then they had to get in the lake. My young son, Jarrah, he started vomiting with like anxiety, and just to tell your kids that they've got to go in the water, they were petrified. Just petrified. When it came to the point where we had to put the life jackets on them, I couldn't do it. One of my friends had to put the life jacket on my son because I couldn't do it.
Blankets ready, please? Yep.
Once we started to move away from the fire front is when we started to hear STP-48 to say, flash over, our truck is dead, we cannot move. I definitely feared from that instant that we lost 8 firefighters.
The emergency message I put through was red, 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 which is our highest priority message, and then gave our call sign, STP-48, that we had been overrun by fire and we needed immediate urgent assistance, and that our truck was on fire and unable to be driven.
Bravo 211 and STP 48 were stuck on that road. They were mobilised, the messages were coming in and they were quite intense.
Our truck was on fire, the smoke was beginning to fill the cabin where we were sitting.
Fuck the inspector.
Been overrun.
What's their comms?
The truck is on fire there.
Do you know what the comms was here? So 13-0.
Worst the fire's gone. Truck won't move, transmission's dead. Got no air.
The temperatures outside were upwards of 600 degrees Celsius. That's where the temperature gets to a point where everything around you almost spontaneously combusts.
The winds became really strong again. This black, thick smoke blown into my face. It was scary having my dad leave without notice, but I just started doing what he was doing in the beginning. But once you are scared and you let fear take over your body, you just lose control, and I didn't want that to happen to me. One of the trees right at the front of the house had caught on fire. The house was all just going to go just from this little tree. So I had to run past the fire, through embers, to turn the pump up. I can't remember what the heat felt like. The main thing for me was the smoke. It's just hell. It was hell. I just kept thinking this pain was going to be temporary and eventually the fire would pass. So I kept pushing myself. I noticed one of the structures just behind our house was on fire. Oh no! That was the moment where I realised that my fire hose had been burnt and there was holes in it. Fuck.
I was yelling out to instruct her to get in that fire shelter and just give up. But she was on the other side of the house. She wasn't going to hear me.
I can't get any help. No one's reading our written message. I'll give you my exact coordinates. I'm at latitude.
We could smell toxic burning plastics. We could smell the bushfire.
The truck is burning.
The thought did cross all of our minds that this was it, but that was quickly replaced with the thought of this is not happening. I just wasn't going to let that situation be the last moment for our crew. We knew our only option was to walk a kilometre through an active fire, through the bush, to get to safety. We would walk out as a crew together.
Come on, boys. Come on, let's go.
Through burning trees, embers of burning debris, burning power lines, huge amounts of smoke. But I knew that our situation was so dire that we had to get ourselves out of there.
So there's 4 of us in the bathroom. Not only does the fire take all the oxygen out, the air's contaminated by the melting plastic and all that. You become asphyxiated. And that's why I took the oxygen bottle out of my shed that day, just in case. I use it for oxyacetylene welding and cutting. And you basically just crack the bottle and shout it around like that so we could breathe and get the oxygen up, into your face. It scared Carol. Carol was petrified when we first done it, poor bugger. And Carol, it's okay, it's, we need to do this.
I was just trying to put the fire out, squirting at it, but it made no difference. And then all of a sudden, the hose stopped. It burnt through the pipe. And then I got panicky because I was actually cooking. And and then I'd run from the house across the lawn into the shed. I said, Mary, you've got to get out of here now.
So I got up. He said, we'll go up to the dam.
So holding for water for the cattle to drink out of.
Ran up to the dam to cool ourselves down.
And then we went back down by the car, lay on blankets and just looking at everything burn.
I could hear animals screeching and crying out.
And Mary turned to me and she said, oh, gee, she said, I think that's our house burning over there. We could see a glow. Excuse me. Yeah, I said it probably is, but I don't want to watch it.
And I was looking at the hose. The water pressure was good enough, so I picked it up and I used the side of the hose. And then through the thick smoke, I noticed my dad was actually on the other side of the structure.
The hose is burnt! The hose is burnt!
I could see India through the flames. I could hear her yelling out that the hose had burnt.
It was really good to see that he hadn't been injured, to hear his voice.
Hey! How's it looking out the front? One of the trees near the tank's caught on fire! Yeah!
Even though we were practically screaming at each other.
Yeah!
Just drag the hose for me, will you?
Yeah.
Just about out.
Yeah, I know.
After we had put that structure out, things began to calm down.
Can you turn that pressure pump off, darling?
Sorry?
Can you turn that pressure pump off?
So we knew we were going to be okay.
Fuck.
There's some relatively good news here since we last spoke, and that is that Malakuta, the wind change has gone through and it's now bypassed that town.
Over 60 homes have been destroyed. Residential streets resemble a war zone.
We realised that the fire had passed and was moving away from us. So there was a massive relief and we all hugged.
After about 15, 20 minutes, there's still a lot of embers and windy and hot, but we knew we were in the clear. Carol said, is George and Jenny still there? And I went up and had a look. And come back and said, yeah, they're still there, mate, they're still there. And she was ecstatic, yeah, she was very happy about that. We sort of looked at each other and started crying. Said, fuck, we're still alive, you know? Like, let's get pissed.
We were almost at our point of refuge when we saw a fire truck driving towards us.
We broke out across the road now.
And the relief was unbelievable, just to think, oh, and cried that all these guys are now out safe.
Shit. Struck down, had to walk out and BA.
We also couldn't believe that we'd got back there and found them, so it was a huge emotional moment for everyone to be able to get to safety.
What a way to spend New Year's Eve. It's one I remember, that's for sure.
And a big thank you to the City of Sydney for putting on the fireworks, but most importantly, thank you to all the fireys out there putting themselves on the line for so many Aussies who are having a tough time because of the fires.
While the fireworks are shooting off in Sydney, all along the southeast coast of Australia, people are just picking up the pieces, coming to terms with the trauma that they've just been through.
I thought to myself, everything's gone, but I'm still here. I still had my life. Yeah.
Hi Maggie, it's Danielle calling from the Relief Centre for the water pods, but I'm just wondering if we can have one delivered to your place for them to collect from. I have been working up at the Cobargo Bushfire Relief Centre. We had tools come in but no food yet. 12 to 15 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. Good, how are you, Joe? Helping people allocate donations. So I'm just trying to confirm for the guys where to deliver. Make sure there's food. Joe! We have 18 people permanently camped on site who are displaced. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for your support. Good on you.
It was a couple of days after the fire that the Prime Minister decided to boost his public image by visiting our town.
Scott Morrison cut short a Hawaiian getaway, acknowledging his absence this week has caused some offence.
I'd seen the media coverage. I saw his, little hang loose signs. I see him kind of grab my friend Zoe's hand.
I'm only shaking your hand if you give more funding to our RFS. So many people here have lost their homes. We need some
I can see her talking, and then he turns his back on her. And I was like, no, you can't do that.
How about your money for our forgotten corner of New South Wales, Mr Prime Minister?
Where was the military when...
How come we only had 4 trucks to defend our town? Because our town doesn't have a lot of money, but we have hearts of gold, Mr Prime Minister.
Him not listening to Zoe is him not listening to Australia. It's him not listening to scientists. It's him not listening to firefighters.
Every single time this area has a flood or a fire, we get nothing.
They have denied climate change. They say that it is not as bad as all those pesky scientists are making out.
What about the people there? What about the people who have nowhere to live?
I did give him his correct title, Mr Prime Minister.
Ding, you moron!
Piece of No, you're an idiot, mate.
I think my goat even went "Meh," like that at him as well.
Oh, yeah, that's what we need. And it's going to be heavy too. I'm going to get a bit wee wet.
Yeah, I'll get this umbrella up in a minute.
OK.
How do you work this thing?
Yes, that's the problem. Oh, that's a big fella. Oh, that's the go.
Carol and I became friends, I looked after her. I'd make her dinner and breakfast and make her a porridge. She liked the porridge. And we exchanged stories.
That was a bad fire, that one. All along the top of that range, it just come over.
The chimneys are still standing, Carol?
Yeah, the chimneys are still standing. They're not much good.
No. Yeah. Got a lot to clean up there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, the rest of Carol's sheep didn't make it. There was 55 sheep we buried. There was nothing left of them. They were just bags of wool and bones. There was no meat left on them. They'd just been incinerated.
It's all gone. Everything is gone. Yeah. So...
No, still at your life.
Yeah.
Still here.
I'm still here. That's the problem. I'm still here.
Only the good die young, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Can't afford to go yet. I've got a lot to do.
Yeah. Here's the dog's water dish.
They just had to go to the hospital for treatment for his wounds.
My injuries are good now. They've healed. That's through good vitamin C. I used to make my own.
Look at this, Dennis. I just love that.
Ooh, we're going to get wet.
The help that's come through from social agencies. Heavy raindrops. We do feel guilty at times about accepting that, but everybody says, look, people want to help. It's making them feel good too.
Put my head on your shoulder.
No,
Fucking stinks.
it still smells like smoke, doesn't it?
After the fire had come through, we were trapped here for a week with no power, so a lot of the time we were sitting around a candle, just talking smack. So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, for all that time when I was out the back of the house, I didn't know what was going on out the front here. And I opened up and told her a few things about myself that she didn't know beforehand, and and all the things that I'll be forever looking for, that, oh, that's right, it burnt.
And I asked him about not having a son, because I'm pretty sure I remember Mum saying that he did really want a son. And the first thing he said to me is, I don't need a son because you've got more balls than any men I know. So that was nice.
Scrape it all up into a pile and get rid of it.
Chip.
This mess you made, India.
Fucking hell.
I'm just so very, very proud of her and her ability, yeah, to do anything, handle anything, I think. Yeah, I love her very much.
More than 3,500 homes have been destroyed, millions of acres of bushland, and about 1 billion animals, scientists say, have been wiped out in these bushfires.
Oh, yeah. Got one here.
What these survivors have shown is that people have this remarkable ability to adapt in a crisis.
Granny's old plates.
But when it comes to addressing the root cause, our society can seem short-sighted.
Gross as a little baby mountain grey gum.
I think it's echoing what is happening all throughout the world. People are disenfranchised with the leaders and the people who are in power.
When we ignore systemic issues, we face this dramatic action to survive. And the threat posed by a warming climate, given its gradual, almost creeping advance and its enormous potential for devastation, may prove to be the most significant yet.
Okay, so convoy missions. I'll just go and get the addresses for the deliveries. But I think we're all starting to realise that the biggest changes that can be made start at a grassroots level.
Well done, thanks for all your support.
Because you can't rely on your government to heal or guide or make the right decisions. So I think it's this acceptance that it's the community that will do it.
Since we've been home, the kids have had their moments, up and down.
You pick him up. No, you pick him up. Yeah. Dad'll get him.
They're still asking a lot of questions, and is Malakuta safe, and can we have fires here, Daddy, and...
Oh, got it.
We're still trying to work it out in our head what all happened, you know. Then this pandemic, it's going to be a prolonged emotional roller coaster. And it worries me immensely that my children may have to go through this experience again.